Paltrocast.
Malcom, Hailey, London, a pleasure to be speaking with all of you. And can we start this with a compliment right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Malcom, acclaimed director, musician, etc. Hailey, Grammy-nominated Broadway actress. London, renowned stand-up comedian. It's my theory that the Power cast is the most talented cast that nobody outright realizes is the most triple threat-filled cast out there. Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
You know what?
It's the Tony Award nomination for Hailey, I believe, right?
And Grammy.
Yeah, just both. Yeah, no. Yeah. We're not gonna light that one away. But yes, to your point, we have the most talented set of human beings this side of the Power universe. Absolutely, this side of television, honestly.
You know what, Darren? I'm not to cut you off. Afterwards, can you send Stars your address so we can send you? What would you like for Christmas? What would you like for Christmas, man? Just tell us for being so kind.
Tell you what I
want.
I want more invites to more junkets, because when I'm in the presence of such genius, I need it like air.
Right.
So I'll throw this first one to London, and I want all of you to answer this. London, how much of the character is there in you, the human being? Because let's face it, comedians can be complex, yet also the greatest actors there are.
Yeah.
I think Marvin and I have a lot of things in common, but besides running the streets and running amok, but a lot of the stuff, the loyalty. I'm really loyal to my family and stuff like that. And I think the moments that people really enjoy from Marvin, as far as those laughs or those genuine feel good moments, that's a lot of London, because it is a good time on set, man. I mean, every project, you would hope that you want to go to work and you trust the director and the writers. So this is like, at the end of the day, it is cool to go and meet these people every day, and to work with them. It's not, I don't get up reluctantly to go, even if it's early. I still would take getting up super early to go work with these guys than to go and work with another group of people. I can trust everyone, and which is important for an actor, because you don't want to be out doing a scene and you don't know if the actor gonna give you anything. And the cool thing about this cast is that we will kind of ask each other, do you need me to need me to give you something? And then Hailey give me something, then Malcom and then Mekai say I can do a little lower voice. No. And even with Tony Danza, everyone is really cool. Mr. Tony Danza, everybody's cool with, there's a trust factor that allows me to flow. So I'm saying that to say that a lot of what we get from Marvin is developed just from the chemistry of the other cast members.
Mm.
Right. Well, Hailey, I'll throw that same question at you next, paired with, is London telling the truth?
Yes. Yes. When we were doing our marketing shoot, people were like, "Who keeps it $150 like Juke?" And they were like, "HK." He is absolutely honest. It is. And I feel like we talk about this every junket, but when we sat down to do that family scene at the diner, season 1, it was like, okay, everybody is like on their A game.
Yeah.
So it makes it more fun. Like, I don't have to worry about is London gonna drop a line? And is Malcom gonna hit the mark? We at what layers can we add to each scene? It's really Juke, yeah. I think I have the hustler mentality that Jukebox has. I like to work really, really hard. But yeah, it's really it goes so well, like Lena said, because the entire cast is incredible and we all get along, which is amazing.
Hey, if you don't get along with your coworkers, your work is never going to be great. And obviously, every interview I do related to Power, everyone's smiling. It's the darker the characters on camera, the happier the people generally are behind the scenes. It's the wrestling bad guys in real life are the nicest people.
The nicest guys, then.
So Malcom, I made you wait here.
Oh, that's okay.
How much of the character is there about the man?
Oh, none of it. I don't even like him that much, to be honest. I like him as a character. I love the character. Once again, he's one of my favorite characters to play. But if we're talking about similarities in personality and persona, he couldn't be further away from from the same person. I think the only thing we do share is the idea that like your family is everything. We share that. We share our core central connection to character between my real life and his imaginary one is that like my family is everything, and I am pretty much willing to do short of some illegal activities to behind him, and sometimes that, you know what I'm saying? So guys, no, bro is too. He be. My mental fortitude a little better. My foundation a little stronger. My mama love me. As you can see, my coworkers are all great people. I don't have no issues like that. So yeah. Nah, he's it's interesting, and I'll put a pin in it because I love your questions and I don't want to take up too much time. But you know, I think I disappoint a lot of the female fans a lot of the time because I just am not that smooth, cool dude like that. I'm a passionate artist, you feel me? Like, I ain't gonna be sitting back with a straight face when we talking. Like, that's not a thing.
Malcolm is cool. There's a side of Malcolm that does that cool thing. He don't know it, but a few of us see when you sit back, you catch Malcolm. Malcolm is always, he's making business calls. Hey, listen, tell Michael Jordan I can't make it to the game tonight. I'm in the studio. And he'll be making some moves. So I see some similarities, even with the music side, which is really dope that his character. Yeah. Because before we did the show, I didn't know he did music. So it is cool to see that the music side of Malcolm is.
You're right. I forgot about that. Thank you, London. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Well, the key is you all did excellent work this season, and looking forward to all of your projects beyond the Power universe. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, man. Great interview. Thank you, brother.
Paltrocast.
Sascha, how is your day going aside from answering the same questions over and over and over again?
It hasn't been too bad. How are you, man?
Nonstop but good, and a pleasure to be speaking. Now, your credits are fantastic, and Power and the related universe, just one of the great things. Now, I'm curious what looped you into doing a darker series like this, given the Hannah Montana and Bee Gees credits?
That stuff was sort of earlier in my career. I think that, I worked on the first season of Power. So, frankly, I think this is probably a lot more in my wheelhouse than Hannah Montana. I wasn't a writer on Hannah Montana. I owned a production company, and we did sort of all the concert stuff from Hannah Montana. But yeah, I think this is the material that is the most interesting and engaging to me. So it feels pretty consistent with my sort of sensibilities and sensitivities. So yeah, it doesn't feel like much of a leap, although, listen, I love the Bee Gees like anybody else. But yeah, that's kind of the story.
And you are the showrunner of this series. Is that a term that you like? Because, some people go, oh, that makes me the man, and I don't want to be the man. I'm a creative just like they are.
I don't think about it kind of one way or the other, to be honest, Darren. I think, look, I think on some level it's an accurate title. You do run the show. You ultimately, the decisions, the success or failure is going to fall at your feet. And so, you're going to take all the blame and get some of the credit. But having said that, no showrunner can be successful without an incredible crew of people around him or her, whether it's, the writers, the cast, the costume designer, production designer, all the crew, music. It is a true collaboration. The best version of what we do is when everyone is working together and sort of moving in the same direction, and everyone has the same goal in mind, which is to make a series that people will respond to and care about. So look, I think again, a showrunner is probably an apt title and in some respects, but it probably does a disservice to the actual process, which requires a ton of work by a ton of people.
And my last question before I let you go, the casts of all the Power Universe shows filled with all these people who you don't realize can sing and dance because generally they're doing creative roles. Is it a challenge to get actors who are not actors who are very theatrical to be less theatrical on camera?
No, it's not, because you hire actors who are good at what they do, and so they know the drill. So it's not. We have on our show, we have actors who have never acted before to actors who graduated from Juilliard and have had long and storied careers, like Wendell Pierce. And, I think you'd be hard pressed to sort of like differentiate one from the other, because they're all so good at what they do. But no, I mean, look, these are professionals, and they know how to practice their craft and hone their craft. And, we're tremendously lucky to have them.
Well, Sascha, thank you for your time. Congrats on the season, and really looking forward to what's to come from you, whether it's more power stuff, Code 8 Part 2, Creed 8, whatever. Keep up all the years of great work. Wonderful streak you've been on.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate you.
Paltrocast.
Both of you are incredible talents, and that says a lot, being within the Power universe. Now, Grantham, I know about your Juilliard time. I don't know why I called it Juilliard. I'm saying it correct now. Joey, I first found out about you through music. Now, what you both have in common, besides being on this great series, is this seems like a left turn from where you started within the entertainment world. Now, I want both of your perspectives. Am I incorrect, or is it always the dream of, hey, we want to be on an acclaimed Starz television series, and we used everything as the launching pad to get here?
Well,
Yeah.
I'll say. Oh,
Let Joey
go
go.
ahead.
Nah, you go.
Yeah, I'll say for me, I've always known that I wanted to act. I've always known that, while I didn't go to Juilliard, I was a theater student in high school. So, acting for a long time has been something that I wanted to do. As far as finding my place here in this Power series, I'd say that I definitely manifested this role. I was a fan of the OG Power series. And once I got wind that they were doing spinoffs, I really did hope that I could find a place in one of these universes. It really didn't matter to me which one. But once the audition for the role of Unique landed on my desk, I knew that role was for me.
Yeah, and I'll double down on what Joey just said. Like, I do not have an acclaimed music career to speak of, as I'm going left from. But yeah, you get involved in the theater in college, and that takes you into the world. Like, I did have a different way of getting here, but my dream was always to be a storyteller and to tell stories that I found not only compelling but gritty, with heart. And we're on a show about family, and that's kind of one of the main things I love about Raising Kanan. It's a prequel to Power. You necessarily didn't have to watch Power to find your way into this family, but with all the fans and all the love from previous shows, we kind of like, it is a dream to step into a universe that's been so well built. So yeah, I find this as another great story to tell.
Well, thank you both. And Joey, I'm aware of from a cousin the great work you're doing with the Impact Mentorship. So it's wonderful to see that you're giving back beyond your on record, your on camera stuff. So thank you both for the great art and the great goodwill you're putting out into the world.
Thank you, Darren.
Paltrocast.
And following up on something I was asking about before, if it's okay, Joey, can you talk about the mentorship program that you're part of, and if that ties in at all to your work on this series? Like, for example, have any other people from the cast expressed interest in participating?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, first of all, thank you for asking that question, because the mentorship program is something I'm very passionate about. It's become a passion project of mine. But yeah, to answer your question, actually, Sascha, Penn, who's our showrunner and writer, creator of Raising Kanan, and Malcom, who plays Uncle Lou, they're both mentors in the program. And, so I definitely, my whole purpose of the program is obviously to bring mentorship to communities of color, because I feel like it is something that's needed, but also being able to provide folks with the different arts and the different industries that I have intersections with. So, not only do we have TV and film, we have people in music, we have people in sports, we have people in media, we have people in the culinary arts, we have people in fashion, so yeah, just kind of really trying to bring opportunity and share that wealth of information that we have all picked up from, the course of our careers, and, finding people to share that with. Because what I've learned from the inception of this program is that it is an incredible need in communities of color. So I'm proud to say that, I can do something about it.
If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for Sascha, good enough for Riza. I think we know it's good enough.
So
Thanks again.
Paltrocast.
Mekai, I think the first time I saw you was on Arrested Development. And Tony, I think the first time I really knew that it was you was High Fidelity, which was a great show.
I'm so sorry. You were on Arrested Development?
It was like one episode. It was literally one episode. I was like a little.
I love that show. What are you talking about?
It was fun. Yeah. It was like
Perfect.
the reboot.
Blew my mind. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, so my question, and this is a compliment / question. I think that all of the Power Universe casts have so much talent within the cast. In other words, you find out that you see the person on camera can really act at a high level, but then you find out they're also Tony nominated, Grammy nominated, can dance. They're all triple threats. So what I want to know is, Mekai, Antonio, are you both triple threats, quadruple threats, or what's missing from the toolbox?
I do it all. I think the only thing I don't do is sing. I play key. I was a musician before I started acting. I've been doing both since very young. I started acting at 4, but I've been a musician since I came out the womb. So I started playing drums even during this last strike situation when this other side of my being and job wasn't doing that. I went and played drums on a tour for a little bit. I produce, I play keys, I write my own projects.
I didn't get a ticket, but okay.
Well, not. It wasn't, bro. It was literally only in LA, like quick little Cali run type vibe. But yeah, man, I'm blessed to be able to do multiple things at a very high or the highest level, and I'm gonna continue to do it that way. I'm gonna take over the world.
Exactly.
Antonio, have I embarrassed you, or
gonna
you
be a king right there? I'm sorry. What'd you say?
You're a triple threat as well, I have to assume.
No, well, no, I don't.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
So I basically, I actually do make music. I do write music. I have published music. The difference was basically that my mom is a published author. So before I wrote any rhyme, she made me learn how to write in general. So unfortunately, my music career started writing poems for females in high school. And that was very, very embarrassing at the time. But it turned into...
That's poetic. That's romantic as hell. I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
Shut your ass up. That shit did not work. Anyway, I turned that into something that I could really get my emotions out through, and it didn't always have to be lyrical. There's a lot of songs that I have that are just the track, the beat itself. Or I was able to to really hone in on that as a double threat craft. The only thing that I can honestly say, I do a lot of things out of hobby. But the only other thing that I can say that I'm good at enough to where I would do professionally, whatever. The only other thing that I can honestly do is write stories. And I've been writing stories, like not poems or just stuff. I've been writing actual stories since about the 2nd grade. There was actually a project that I had when I was in 4th grade that we were supposed to write short stories for school. And I wound up, writing a little 10-page short story, and they wound up putting it in the New York Public Library kids section for like 10 weeks. So I've always had a creative, not just written, but more so I've always had a creative side in expressing whatever's on the inside of whoever I'm trying to, get across. You get what I'm saying? Because it's not always personal. There's been a lot of music that I've made, and there's been a lot of things that I've written that are for or from another perspective. So I definitely feel like that's the only other thing that I can do. I'm not a musical triple threat like that one down over there who can play the drums and sing and do all this other stuff. But
Singing, I don't do singing.
I definitely rap. Because I was blessed to work with Sean C on Streets Need a Body, and he wrote the entire track. He just allowed me to make certain changes where I felt would be best, and we took out certain music, like certain lyrics, and replaced them with certain that I made. We did the same thing with Tank when we made music for season 3, and it was just a process of like not all. I don't want to say all creative control on my behalf because it wasn't at all, but they gave me enough room to where I could put in my own creations,
Paltrocast. Gia, how's your day going aside from talking to wrestling media today?
It's going great, but I enjoy talking to wrestling media. It's part of the job, and I like to get together with other journalists, other broadcasters, and I take my notes.
You do. You are a great interviewer, very likable. You get to the bottom of the story.
Oh, yeah.
You're also a trained wrestler, and we are seeing you wrestle very soon in a tag match. Now, when did you start honing your interview and broadcasting skills?
I actually have always been involved in broadcast journalism. My mother actually owns a newspaper, and I've even been a published writer for her. But I've always done a little bit of that. I even have a degree in journalism in college. But I've always done a little bit of it. I've always been a talker. I've always been I guess journalism is a more eloquent form of gossip. So I've always been that.
You should trademark that one. You said journalism is a more eloquent form of gossip.
Yes.
Wrestling is gossip, isn't it? Theater meets gossip.
Oh, yes. It is Broadway and blood. Absolutely.
Broadway and blood. Well said. Well, so many great Impact events coming up because we're seeing you wrestle as part of the tag match. There's the Vegas show. There's the Orlando stuff, etc. Which are you most excited for?
Oh, my gosh. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited to go back to the 80s, back to IPWF, and see Rusty Iron and Rip Razor back in action. But if I'm the most excited about one thing, it's the return of TNA. I mean, and that's not even, that's an understatement, being excited about it. I get to be a TNA knockout. That's incredible. And there is no telling actually there is telling. This year is going to be incredible. Yeah. This year is going to be historic, unlike any other.
I can imagine so, because people are talking about it. A lot of announcements happen, and then 2-3 days later, we don't care, like summer tours. We're still talking about TNA coming back, and it's still not coming back for another 6 weeks or so. But
right, it's just...
When you came into Impact, we first knew, hey, she's an interviewer, and then us who Google go, oh, she's a perfectly trained wrestler who may or may not have known George South. Now, was it initially part of the deal that you were going to transition to wrestling after a while?
It wasn't explicitly part of it, but it was mentioned because I never want to put myself in a box. I want to have everything at my disposal, and I just want to see where things go. I don't want to force anything, just want to go with the flow, see where it takes me. And when I did first have that conversation of, okay, we're going to keep you on board, I mentioned of like, you know, if the opportunity arises, if you feel that I am ready or you want to give me that opportunity, I would like to bump. I would like to wrestle. And they were like, okay, we'll have that in mind. And then it wasn't long before we did it was the second IPWF show, but it was my first one.
So when you came into Impact, was it initially a handshake deal, 1 or 2 tapings, and see where it goes?
It was quite literally, well, she's here and she's better than nothing. It was COVID. They didn't have anybody. I was in quarantine with Sammy Callahan, Jessica Havoc, and Ace Austin, so they knew I was with their talent. I was there, and they were like, what do we do? I don't know, just put her in front of the camera, see if she does okay. And I did okay enough that they kept bringing me back, and I worked there for about a year before I signed my contract. But that really meant that much more to me, that I had worked there for that long, and they were like, okay, we want to keep her on board moving forward.
I've had the pleasure of interviewing, I think, everybody that you just said the name of, but you're all part of this secret wrestling thing that boggles my mind, the secret Ohio/Indiana connection of wrestlers who are all based out of that contingency plan of, we want to work full-time in wrestling, but we also have to live in a cheap place. So wrestlers living together in houses in Ohio and or Indiana. Wow.
Oh, yes. The Midwest wrestling scene is, so many wrestlers come from the Midwest. And I'm not from here, obviously, but I came up here for that reason, to be surrounded by all of these minds, all of these people, all this knowledge. And there's so many reputable training schools that you can visit and go to. There is so much to learn, so much to be done in the Midwest. And on top of it, it's cost effective. You start off in the wrestle house, maybe you and 13 other people and 1 bathroom. Not that I ever had to do that. Good Lord. I just had to do the sorority house. But
right.
That's part of it. And even now, Ace and I kind of have our own wrestle house, where we have other wrestlers kind of moving in with us just to have a little bit of a cheaper rent and get by and do what they got to do. It's all part of the grind.
Now, I know that we're here to talk about Impact and TNA talent, but you could just give a quick yes or no on this. Was Maxwell Jacob Friedman in any of those wrestler houses that you were part of?
I did not live with him, but there was some crossover there with Ace and MJF, yes.
Got it. Us Long Islanders need to know this stuff.
Yes,
Max may or may not have been in this apartment before and made fun of it, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Gia Miller and the ascension and the success and all that. So being a great on-camera interviewer, what are you thinking about podcasting, broadcasting long-term beyond Impact and TNA?
Oh, it's always on my mind. It's always in the works. Especially now, I'm in the process of kind of transitioning, moving houses, and part of that is to create a larger studio space so that I can do more things like that, like podcasting. And that was something that I learned with my journalism studies in college, doing podcasting, doing hosting of all types. Even had to do the weather a couple times. That's the hardest thing in the world. But the world is my oyster. I will do anything that I just want to do on any given day. If there's one thing I'm going to do, it's what I want.
Paltrocast.